Hi guys, Tony from the Mind Mechanics, and you're about to watch an interview with one of our amazing clients, Roger, who was on the front line of law enforcement for more than 20 years, and he's been working on himself and coaching others in the self-development space for over 25. And he'd had enough, and he was ready to toss it all in because he wasn't getting the results he wanted. He's done one major program every year for the last 25 years, and you'll hear him say that this was his last shot. He's done virtually every type of program ranging from Tony Robbins to the spiritual, and he will tell you that he can meditate for hours and still couldn't find the happiness and clarity that he was striving for. You'll find out about what he thought the missing piece was for him and how the Mind Mechanics method has completed his training so he never has to rely on another program or guru again. So have a listen to the interview and see if you can relate. But it really doesn't matter if you're like Roger and done 25 years in the industry, or you've been lucky enough to find this for the first time, you will get results. But if you're watching this and you're thinking, this is cool, I want those results and I want them now, please go below and enter your details so we can have a breakthrough session and go through what you want. We want to look at your goals and your dreams, where you are now and where you want to go, so we can get you there as fast as possible. In that session, we'll walk you through what you need to learn, implement, and which program is right for you so we can get you where you want to go now. So sit back, enjoy the interview. I look forward to talking with you soon. Hi guys, it's Tony from the Mind Mechanics, and we're here today. We're talking with Roger Rood. He's one of our awesome clients over in the States, and we're just going to get his opinion, thoughts, and everything that's coming at you with no holes barred. We're just going to have a chat about what we did, how it went, and Roger, I'd love you to introduce yourself and tell me what you've done in the mind space, in the mindset world, before you met up with us.
Yeah, absolutely, Tony. Thanks for inviting me here. It's really great to be sharing all this with everybody, especially after my experience. So my name is Roger Ruge. My background is I was a law enforcement officer in the California area, Northern California area for 20 years, and also a martial artist. And during that time, really since about 1991, I got into personal development work. So I did really all the programs you can imagine that are out there. I did some work with people like Anthony Robbins, Jack Canfield, coaching programs. I worked with Harv Eker, and I even taught for Harv at one of his schools, did a lot of the things that he has going, like his warrior camp, his wizard camp. I've put myself into some form of self-development every year for 20 plus years, 25 years. And really interesting that, you know, there isn't any book probably that you can name in the self-help industry that I haven't read, that I haven't studied, that I haven't been in groups around, and just always curious to see if I could take a step. I've even done some work with a Native American shaman who I studied with for several years as a fifth-generation Apache shaman, and we did energy work and meditation work. I was a member of the Self-Realization Fellowship for 15 years, where I worked extensively through meditation techniques like Kriya Yoga to try to really get myself to a place where frankly I felt balanced and happy and joyful, and it always remained elusive. There'd be moments, periods of feeling that, and typically they came at the end of the seminar where I was at a real high from everybody being so excited and yay and all the cheering and yelling and screaming, and then the parasympathetic backlash would come in, and I would be as high as I went, I'd go as low, and I'd just keep repeating this cycle over and over and over. And of course, being in law enforcement, the extent of human suffering that you see is all around you, saturating you in negativity. So, you know, I was perpetually pounded with these challenges in life. And then it would just catch up with me. I'd go to the next seminar. I'd get high for a little while, but I'd come lower and lower and lower. And I was at an extremely low point when I decided that it was probably time to give my friend Tony a call and give his program a shot. And the reason that I did that, Tony, was because it came from the recommendation of a friend I trusted. Somebody who said, you know, what Tony's got going on is really different. And one of the only regrets I have is that it took me 2 years to actually pull the trigger on doing your program.
So let me get this straight. 20, 25 years in the self-help industry.
25 years of pushing hard.
And a program with one of the masters or the gurus every year sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot. Like I'm getting to hear this a lot more than because I'm working with people every day, and I'm getting to hear it a lot that people will go to a seminar, they'll go to a course and a weekend course, and they will get pumped up, and we know what some people do. We know people are using NLP to put people into state and help them while they're there. So 25 years of it, and how far do you think you got? Like, what was it just these short-term outcomes you were gaining from this, or was there has to be some kind of cumulative growth, doesn't there?
One would think. So here's the thing that was the most astounding thing, and really what drove me to your program. I realized that even with all this work that I had done, the underlying foundations that I had were still reactive to life events. So that underlying foundation of negativity, of depression, of anger was still there. Like, I had made almost no progress. And even though other aspects of my life improved, like my ability to meditate, I can meditate for hours. But if a life event comes along that is challenging, I was still defaulting into depression, negativity, expecting things to go badly. And I'm like, I had this epiphany one day. I'm like, you know, what? Wait a minute. I have done all this work. I've read all these books. I can teach it. I know it so well, and did. And yet, when it came time for Roger to face a life challenge, I had made almost no progress. In fact, it's fair to say I'd made none, because the triggering mechanisms were still taking me to the same places of negativity, depression, anger. And I'm like, how can this possibly be after all this time, all this energy, all this money? The dedicating myself to it year after year after year, and to still be in the same reaction was like, well, it hasn't worked at all. And I'm not exaggerating that even in the slightest. The underlying foundation remained that after all that time and energy and expense and amount of myself that I poured into that. And I was always looking, well, maybe the next program will have it. And it didn't.
Interesting, because we're virtually brothers, because I went through the same thing. I've done all the self-help books. I've done the NLP. I've done Anthony Robbins. I've done, certain things, and I always kept looking for more. So I was the same. I'm going, I hope this next one works. I hope this next one works. So tell me about the biggest changes you got out of doing this program. What were the biggest changes you were able to get out of doing the program?
It's really funny, because each of the programs you go through, they have systems, things that you can put into place, but none of it had a lasting effect. So when I entered this program, I entered it because a friend recommended it. You and I talked, and you had a different energy. Like, there was this underlying foundation where you're just right where I wanted to be. Like, I could sense it in who you were. I'm like, so that's not somebody on stage in a hyper state of insanity to try to amp me up. This is a guy who's coming at me straight shooter. Here's what I can do for you. Here's how it's going to change your life. And there wasn't a bunch of this hype happening. I'm like, I could sense an integrity there, an authenticity that really resonated with me. I thought, you know what? If this one doesn't work, I'm out. Like, that's where I was when I entered the program. I'm like, this is my last shot. And last shot in the sense of, excuse my language, but I'm just going to put it raw because this is what this is. Fuck it. If this doesn't work, I'm out. I'm done with this self-help bullshit, and I'm just going to go through life, and whatever happens, happens. Really, I was really at that point of despondency, and frankly, I'd already made up my mind it probably wouldn't work. But I thought, this is a straight shooter, and he's coming at me with a different energy. He's talking in different ways. He's telling me things that I've studied, but he's presenting it as something is very different here. And I thought, yes, this is well worth a try.
Awesome.
So from day one, you gave me an empowerment that allowed me to identify the underlying dysfunction and actually shift it. Shift it forever, which blew my mind. And I think the most important gift that you gave me was to understand the role of the ego. When I really downloaded that, which was after our first session, which was mind-boggling to me, you gave me this relationship to my ego that all the things I had studied for the last 25 or so years, everything I've read, everything I've been through in workshops, it all went ding, 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 and lined up like gears. And it just suddenly made sense to me. That's it. That's the piece I've been missing the entire time, is this relationship with the ego. Once I understood that, and I gave it the role it is supposed to have, I helped my ego define that. The ego stopped fighting me because the ego knew its job. And that was the difference. Everything just laid out into place as soon as I was able to do that.
So give me a little bit of now your understanding of ego. Now, compared to before the program to now, what is your understanding? And everyone uses different terms. So someone could use ego in a different way. So I know David Hawkins uses ego in a different way to what we use ego. But what do you understand ego to be? Because this is really like, if this was the big change for you, if this was the distinction for you, what do you mean about ego? What's your definition of ego now?
Yeah, so I never really understood this egoic assertion that kept coming up, and it would assert itself and hijack me because that was the programming it's had from the beginning. From when I was a little boy, this ego was programmed to be my protector.
So so everything you've learned, you're talking about. So you're talking about your programming, your subconscious mind programming.
Exactly.
Excellent.
So the ego's running on that without any direction. It's downloading things, it's seeing things that are dysfunctional, it's accepting those as patterns that's supposed to assert itself. The bottom line is the ego's my protector. It's the most important part of my personality in sense of letting me know when a true threat is emerging and needs my awareness. The problem was it thought a guy cutting me off in traffic was a threat. It thought that someone criticizing me was a threat. So those were not legitimate threats. So the way I saw my ego, what you helped me to see, was that it is my absolute protector in life and death situations. What it didn't understand was, what is a life and death situation? What are the rules for it to function under? So when I identified my ego, it came to me as a warrior. Particularly, it'll sound kind of funny, a Spartan warrior, complete with the helmet, the shield, and the spear and everything. It's just my visual. And that's a very intense picture, but I literally had a conversation and said, look, you're my most important thing. If I die, you die. But what was really a life and death scenario? Let's really identify this. So that guy cutting me off in traffic is not a life and death scenario. That person criticizing me is not a life and death scenario. Here's what a life and death scenario looks like. And I expect you, without me thinking, to assert yourself correctly so that I don't have to pay attention. I don't have to be in hypervigilance of my environment like police officers are. I don't have to worry about that because you have my back. You are my most important asset. That's all I need you to do. I need you to have my back in true life and death scenarios. And when I identified that, was able to place my ego in that position, then we had to do a new relationship. Now, that's not to say that my ego hasn't asserted itself inappropriately, but now I catch it in real time. And when I catch it, I can remind it of the rules. I can remind it of its function. And now I can trace back in time where that program it was acting on was downloaded, and I can clear that out. So every time my ego now asserts itself in what I would call a dysfunctional way, I don't get mad at it. I thank it. I thank it for bringing this underlying piece of dysfunction to my attention that I didn't know was running there. I go back and I clear it using the process you taught me. The ego goes back to being my protector, and I'm no longer hijacked. I am literally recognizing this now in real time and can reset the button in moments.
And you're saying you got that in that first session?
I did. Shocking.
Cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Well, it was amazing. It's life-altering because the other programs that I had studied, the other books that I had read, never gave me this power, never gave me the ability to do that. And like I say, after all those years, I found myself still in reaction to things that would happen that was totally inappropriate. This in one session completely shifted.
So essentially you were able to control your mind very quickly.
Amazingly.
And just for the people out there, this is where we see a little bit of difference in what we're doing, or not a little bit of difference, a lot of difference in what we're doing, exactly what Roger explained just then. So tell me, Roger, what other areas of your life has that affected? Because that's what Roger just talked about then was only a small part of the program, but it was the major thing for him to be able to control his mind very easily and quickly and never have to go through that experience again. What would it be like if you could actually catch your triggers, clear them, so you never have to do them again? So the situation just never happens again. That's what you're essentially talking about there. So where else has it affected your life? Like what other benefits of actually doing the program?
There's no area of my life that hasn't shifted. So you can think of anything that you want. The relationship I have with my girlfriend and I, who've been together for almost 8 years, the relationship with my 2 daughters, the relationships with close friends, my business life, and things like this. One of the things that I think I would like to share with people that's been a very significant shift is because the ego is now less and less assertive from those underlying programs that I continue to identify and clear out, a real benefit has been I'm now getting intuitional messages in a much cleaner way. So to give you an example, I had somebody come to me with a business proposition recently. In fact, I had 2 of them. And the very first signal I got was, no, don't do it. Now, I didn't need to explore that any further because my intuition now is so clean that I can spot what's right for me and what's not right for me almost instantaneously as the person is presenting it to me. I can even take a look at that person now before I meet them and see, are there any red flags? Are there things that I might want to address there? Does something not feel quite right? What is that? So I had 2 business opportunities present themselves to me. One that was clearly a no, the other that was clearly a yes, and that was immediately available. I didn't have to do what I would normally do, which is research, take days, even weeks or months to make a decision. And I've done that in the past and still made the wrong decision. Even though I intuitively knew it was the wrong decision, My ego was seeing something that it liked, shiny little thing. Ooh, look at that. That's neat. That would be great if that happened. And I ignored the intuitional signals. I think if I could succinctly put this, because the ego now understands its role so clearly, the intuitional signals I get are much cleaner and much more rapidly downloaded so that I can make decisions almost instantaneously now and be very clear about that.
Really interesting. So I just want to quickly go over ego. Like in Australia, ego is the sportsman who is up themselves, that thinks they're the greatest. Like, not saying he was in ego, but Muhammad Ali kind of stuff, going, I'm the greatest and like no one can beat me. I think he had a lot of belief in himself, but that's a type of ego most people think about ego. Ego has two polarities. We work with it with two polarities. It has the I'm the greatest and we're covering something up because we've got some flaws and we're worried and we just tell people we're the greatest. Or it has the other aspect of I'm a loser. And I think majority of the population would more relate to the ego in that sense, but they don't class it as ego because it's not traditionally seen as ego. And I'm pretty sure it'd be like that in America too. But what's this intuition? Like, I mean, people will be going, intuition? What are we talking about here? What do you mean you got better at listening to your intuition? Because people are going to sort of be questioning that. So what do you mean by that? How did the program help you with tuning into your intuition or actually discover, like you're talking about ego and you're talking about getting it under control. So your mind virtually is your ego. So you're controlling your mind. So what's this intuition stuff we're talking about?
Yeah, I think I can sum this up because everybody's probably had this experience where they've gotten involved in something. And that something didn't work out the way they intended. Sometimes dramatically, sometimes subtly, but we've all had that experience where we've gone down a path and it did not live up to expectations. And when we reflect on that, many people will say, I just knew something wasn't right. It's upon reflection that you have that, I had a feeling that wasn't right. Well, the ego blocks that feeling. It blocks that pure intuitive signal that we get, and for whatever reason it's attached to, it says, you don't really have to worry about that. Well, now what happens is that pure intuitional signal that I might have identified reflecting off of something after an event's taking place, it's now present in real time. And I know right away, no, that's not the path I need to go. I might be driving down the road and think to myself, I should take a right turn here. And instead of having the ego go, it's going to take you longer if you take a right turn, you're going to have to go I don't even think about it anymore. I need to take a right turn. I just trust that intuitional signal now that I'm receiving is spot on. Like there's something down the road I'm not supposed to be involved in, or I'm taking this right turn because I'm about to meet the coolest person in the whole world because I took the right turn. It's that kind of intuitional signal that's now not being filtered out with the static of the ego that comes in and blocks that message.
So quickly, how has your personality changed? So what were you like before you started? What are you like now? Like, as in, how's it like? I mean, how does your day-to-day life go?
Yeah, I can sum that up real easily. My default was always to something's going to go wrong. Just expecting everything to go wrong. And when a life event would challenge me, it'd be like, see, I told you that stuff was going to happen. Now, I just look at everything as an opportunity. And whenever a life challenge comes up, because life still offers challenges, it's not like that's going away. Right?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot in the program.
Yeah, I mean,
ego triggers keep coming up.
They just happen. Life things are going to happen to us. Now my attitude is, I wonder where the opportunity is here. Like I'm just looking at the things that are coming at me in a completely different light. So one was really colored with negativity and expectations of negativity. Now it's like, well, this is interesting. I wonder what this offers. And if that ego decides to assert itself, I go, look at that. the ego's coming forward right now. Well, that's really interesting. I wonder where the trigger is for that. Let me follow that back and find out where this got put into my programming. And I identify it and I remove it. Like, okay, cool. Now what's next? So I'm less and less pulled into that rabbit hole of negativity, and things have just become much more positive. As a result of that, I'm just happier. I'm just in joy and happiness more. I'll give you an example. I just recently did a 2 weeks on the road motorcycle journey.
Yeah,
so I did. Yeah, it was great. I did 3,600 miles on my bike in 13 days. And I was riding through Wyoming, straight road, flat, green, mesas, nothing much to look at. And I hadn't been that happy in years. And I just remember thinking to myself how profound it was that I'm just sitting on a motorcycle, straight line, not much going on. And I'm like, I can't remember the last time I've been this content, this happy. And, you know, if I could deliver any message to everybody out there, isn't that why you're always taking these programs? Isn't that why you're always reading the next book? You're hoping that you're going to get to the place where these self-help gurus seem to be, where they're just happy and things are rolling along and life is so great. Isn't that what we always want? Well, guess what? I'm there. And I got there in such rapid time, it still stuns me. And I'm there most of the time. And now, if something does come up, you know, here's the thing. I mean, when something comes up that hijacks me, I now recognize what's going on in real time. I can stop what I'm doing, or at my next available pause, jump right into the process, clear it, and move on. So instead of wallowing in it for hours, days, weeks, months, even years, I can clear it out in real time, Tony, and that is the greatest gift I've ever been given.
How long did that take?
Probably within the first 3 weeks of working with you, I was in that place.
Wow. So life, what is life now? How is life? How do you see life now? Like
an adventure. What's next? Like, I don't fear what's coming. I used to have some fear around, oh, geez, I'm just waiting for that other shoe to drop. I wonder what shitball life's going to drop on me now. And I'm not exaggerating that. That was the expectation. You know, now it's like, I wonder what's coming next. What interesting thing is going to happen? And I'm filled with expectation instead of fear.
So just sum up, sum up the program. We're going to tell someone else about this program, what would you tell them?
Yes. I love your dog barking in the background.
Yeah. It's always the way.
I tell them, get excited and bark at it. No, I mean, you know, the bottom line is I think I really represent people who are seeking something that they would love to move forward on, you know, that next level. And I've done every program that's out there. This just cuts straight to the chase. Man, there is no fluff. There is no BS. And you have a very special journey in that I think you represent the common man. Like, you don't place yourself on the pedestal of guru. You know, I mean, really. And you're just such a straightforward guy who just brings this energy in that's like, look, here's the process. And if I could, you know, I think the best part of it for me is I don't have to have this codependent relationship on you to get where I need to go. You know, it's like the old Woody Allen joke. So how long have you been with your therapist? Oh, 6 years. Well, you making any progress? He goes, well, no, not really. But if I'm going to give him a couple more years and then that's it. I'm cutting him off. It's not like that. It's like, look, here's the process. You can learn this as fast as you want to learn it. And the whole idea is to kick the baby bird out of the nest as rapidly as possible to give them the skills they need so they can move forward. And that's what you do. It happens in such rapid time. It's absolutely stunning. And you do not have to be a person who's gone through 25 years of trying to find it to suddenly, have this and just move it along. This is going to be everyone's experience because that's how it's set up. It cuts right to the chase. So you're going to get where you need to go really, really fast.
So you're saying you've got all the tools you need to move forward for the rest of your life?
Yeah, 100%.
Have you ever found another program in your 25 years that could do that?
Nothing's come even close.
And I know this because this is exactly the same experience I had. Mine just took a little bit longer because we had to develop some stuff around this, but this is exactly what you're talking about. This is what we talk about. All the tools in the one place, and you do not have to go anywhere else.
Yes.
Once you have this, once you finish the program, you have got the tools you need to go on. So when you're doing the program, do we give you everything?
100%.
Every question, everything we're doing, we give it to you.
Absolutely. And if something's confusing, the best part is you clarify it really quickly. And what's really neat is, we've had a couple of conversations where in the middle of the conversation, my ego's asserted itself. And you said, hold on a minute. Let's stop there and let's take a look at that. What's that? What just came up there? Where does that? And then you just work it through the process. And you're like, oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden that self-awareness just drops in. You realize what's going on and you're empowered to move forward on your own. And it's so fast.
So the difference between the seminars you've been to and the process you've been with us, what's the difference?
I think the difference is, first of all, they cost a lot more. Secondly, you tend to have to become dependent upon the leader of that forever. It's almost as if you can never let go of that cord, because if you do, you'll just flounder. You need me kind of thing, and you're just exactly the opposite. No, I want you to get this on your own as rapidly as possible. So that's the biggest difference.
So instead of the 3-day seminar, which is the typical out there, you go to a 3-day seminar. How did you find the 8 weeks that you spent with us?
Incredible. Every day was just peeling away layer after layer after layer, empowering me more and more with the process. And I use the process every single day. Like it's when I start my day, I get up in the morning and I have a little practice I've developed around it. And I write my gratitudes for the day, and I connect with higher self, and I get the message, and I pick something to clear out. In fact, I'm using the list from David Hawkins, and I pick a piece, and I clear out another piece, and I find something every day to take yet another step. And, to some people that might sound like, oh, gosh, you mean I have to do this every day? It's not. I look forward to doing this every day because I'm peeling away layers that are taking me even deeper into it. And it's joy. It's not like, oh God, I got to get up and do the process. It's like, all right, I get to get up and do the process.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
We never stop growing.
No.
If you can understand your subconscious mind and how much stuff's in there and how much we've learned, we never stop growing. And we see this with our clients all the time. You just keep going up levels. It's just about going up levels, and you have the tools. If you want to stop for a while and enjoy the view. But if you have a situation where you want to take a bigger step and you want to be bigger, you want to make more money, you want to get the girlfriend that you want to do whatever it is you want to do, you have some programming that's going to be in your road. So imagine having the tools to never stop growing. This is what I love. Having the tools to never stop growing.
Which is what a lot of the other programs promise, but it just doesn't deliver. It doesn't download. This did. Like I say, name a program, I bet you I've done it.
So mate, just thank you for your time today. One last thing from you. What would you like to say to everyone out there with anything from you?
Well, I don't endorse things easily. I'm suspicious by nature, a cynic by nature. It's natural for police officers to come from that energy.
I was going to say, yeah, law enforcement.
Yeah, that's our default mechanism for survival. And so, you know, I don't endorse things. You really have to like rise to meteoric levels before I would put my stamp of approval. I stand here today 100% behind the mind mechanics process, behind you, behind what you've brought. I'm telling you folks, you're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste your money. This is the one. That's what I would say. I just sum it up as that.
Well, thank you, brother. And the beauty about our process and how intimate it is, we actually make friends along the way, and we'll be friends for the rest of our lives. It's just, it's amazing. It's an amazing place, and when you can get this clarity, life just becomes beautiful.
Yeah, life becomes beautiful.
I appreciate your time, brother, and we'll be keeping in contact from here on in. So thank you for your time, and we will cut it off there. So I really hope you enjoyed that today. Roger was such a pleasure to work with, and now he's completed the Ultimate Mind Solution. He needs no other program or guru for the rest of his life, because he now has all the tools, so there'll never be another situation he can't handle again. If you're just like Roger and been in the game for 25 years, or you're just starting out, and you want a complete mind training program that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be, and it really doesn't matter how successful you are, there is always room for growth. So if you never want to be stopped again by one of your caps or your ceilings, and you want to keep growing, please go below and fill in your details, and let's have that breakthrough session so we can work out the best plan for you moving forward. All our coaching is done one-on-one, so you'll never be on your own, and you'll always have a coach with you every step of the way. I have no doubt the Mind Mechanics method can and will get you where you want to be, but I just need to know that you are ready to do the work. So if you're ready, let's get started. I want you to go below, fill in your details, and we're going to give you a call. Thanks for your time today, and I'll speak with you soon.